You are 23 years old, standing in the back of a small church in Tulsa, Oklahoma, holding a mop. The floor is still wet from Sunday's baptism. The congregation has gone home. The pastor, a tired man named Gerald, shakes your hand and tells you you have a gift. He says he has watched you lead the youth group for 2 years and that God has plans for you. You nod. You believe him. At this point in your life, you believe everything. You go home to a one-bedroom apartment where the heat doesn't work right, and you eat cereal for dinner, and you pray. You pray the way people pray when they have nothing, desperately, honestly, with your whole chest. You ask God to use you. You mean it. That night, you sleep better than you have in months. This is where it begins. Not with corruption, not with money. It begins with a genuine calling and a real hunger and a heart that, right now, is clean. The first church they give you to lead is 47 people in a strip mall in suburban Memphis. The carpet is brown. The sound system cuts out every third Sunday. You preach in a second-hand suit, and you visit the sick in the hospital on Wednesdays, and you counsel couples on the verge of divorce on Thursday evenings. You make $26,000 a year. You are happy. The work feels true. When Sister Edna tells you that your sermon changed her life, you go home and cry because the weight of that responsibility feels sacred to you. Then the congregation grows. Slowly at first, 60 people, then 90, then 140. You add a second service. A local gospel radio station invites you to do a 10-minute segment on Sunday mornings. People call the station. They want more. The station gives you a half-hour slot. More people call. Within 18 months, you are preaching to 400 people every Sunday, and the strip mall can no longer hold them. A businessman in the congregation, a man named Douglas, comes to you after service one Sunday. He is 61 years old. He made money in commercial real estate. He tells you he wants to help build something bigger. He lays out a vision, a real building, a real ministry, a television broadcast. He says, "Pastor, you have something. We should not waste it." You sit across from him at a restaurant booth, looking at the numbers he has written on a napkin, and you feel the first small crack form and the foundation of who you are. Not because you say yes to anything wrong, but because for the first time, you want it. The building, the platform, the reach. You say yes to the building. The new church seats 1,200 people. The mortgage is enormous. Suddenly, you are not just a pastor, you are a CEO, a brand, a public face. You need a communications director, a bookkeeper, a staff of 11 people who all need salaries. The pressure shifts from spiritual to financial almost overnight, and you are not prepared for how quickly one can quietly replace the other. You tell yourself they are the same thing, that a well-funded ministry is a more effective ministry. This is the first story you tell yourself that is not entirely true. The television broadcast goes live. You are on in 7 markets. The offering envelopes you mail out return full. People who have never set foot in your building are sending you checks because they heard you speak about healing, and they believe you carry something they need. You do carry something. But now it is packaged. Now it has a logo. Now your image consultant tells you to wear a darker suit because it reads better on camera. You wear the darker suit. The money is not personal yet. You are still modest. You still drive a used Honda. But the board, Douglas and 3 other businessmen who helped fund the building, suggest you need a salary increase. They say a pastor of your profile earning what you earn reflects badly on the ministry. They say donors want to give to success, not struggle. They say the number they have in mind is $180,000 a year. You sit in that board meeting and you feel something complicated. You feel that you deserve it. You have worked 7 days a week for 4 years. You have missed birthdays and anniversaries, and your wife has held this family together largely alone. You say yes. Nobody tells you that this is the moment the math changes, that once you get comfortable at a certain level, it becomes almost impossible to return to a lower one.
The mortgage on the house you now buy, the private school for your kids, the cost of maintaining the life that now surrounds your ministry, all of it becomes infrastructure, and infrastructure needs to be fed, and the only thing that feeds it is the offering. Your messages begin to shift, gradually, imperceptibly at first, even to you. You start preaching more about blessing and less about sacrifice, more about prosperity and less about the cross. Not because you stop believing, you still believe, but because you have learned something about your audience. When you preach about financial breakthrough, the offering goes up. When you preach about suffering and patience, people get uncomfortable and some of them leave. You cannot afford for people to leave. Not with the mortgage, not with 11 salaries. So you read the room every week, and you give the room what keeps it full. This is the mechanism. This is how it works. It is not dramatic. There's no single moment where you look in a mirror and choose darkness. It is 100 small adjustments made in the direction of sustainability, each one justifiable, each one almost reasonable, and all of them together quietly dismantling the thing you started with. The prayer line comes next. Your television ministry launches a phone number. Callers call in for prayer. The team answers. But a vendor approaches you with a model that other ministries use. Callers are encouraged to sow a seed in connection with their prayer request. The implication is not stated directly, it is simply present, give and receive. You rationalize it quickly. People want to give, it blesses them to give. You are not forcing anyone, but you know, somewhere you know that you are taking money from people at their most desperate and frightened moments. People who cannot afford what they are sending. People who believe that their sick child or their foreclosed home or their broken marriage will turn around if they just send $115 to your ministry. You know this, and you cash the checks. By year 7, your personal income is $340,000. The ministry owns a vehicle that you drive. The ministry pays for conferences you attend in Miami and Dallas and London, conferences where you preach to other pastors and they look at you with admiration. You have a publicist now. Your book, your second book, makes a Christian bestseller list. Douglas takes you to dinner and tells you the ministry's annual revenue has crossed $4 million. He says it with pride. You feel pride too. This disturbs you when you notice it, so you stop noticing it. The first scandal is not yours. It belongs to a minister on your level, a man named Bishop Terrence, who is exposed for using ministry funds to purchase a vacation property in Florida. You watch the news coverage. You feel genuine contempt. You tell your wife that night that you would never. You mean it at the moment you say it. What you do not yet understand is that Bishop Terrence probably meant it once too. Your wife stops coming to the Sunday services. Not all at once. She begins sitting in the back. Then she begins missing the second service. Then she sits in your office during worship because she says the noise gives her headaches. You don't push. You are afraid of what she would say if you did. She has watched you from the beginning. She knows what you were. She knows what you are becoming. Her silence is its own kind of testimony. The second scandal involves you, but only barely. A woman in the congregation, a young minister on your staff, files a complaint about a text message exchange that she describes as inappropriate. You did not sleep with her. This is true, but the messages were not pastoral. They were something else. Attention-seeking, boundary-crossing, the behavior of a man who has spent years being told he is exceptional and has started to act accordingly. Douglas and the board call a meeting. They do not fire you. They settle with her privately. They advise you to take a 30-day sabbatical. You stand at your pulpit on the Sunday before the sabbatical and you tell your congregation that you are taking time to seek God and pour back into your family. The congregation applauds. They love you. This applause is the most dangerous thing in your life. You come back from the 30 days rested and rebranded. There is a new initiative, community outreach, a food pantry, a job training program. These are real things. They help real people. You stand in front of cameras at the ribbon cutting and you feel the old feeling, the true one from the strip mall days, and you hold on to it. But the pantry costs money. The program needs staff. The offering must grow. So you go back behind the pulpit and you preach about seed and harvest, and you tell the congregation that God is watching what they do with what they have, and the checks come in. You are 41 years old now, and your ministry operates in 19 television markets, and your church campus has expanded to a second location. There is talk of a third. You have a security detail, not because anyone has threatened you, because this is what ministries of your size do. The detail makes you feel uncomfortably like a head of state. You have started to understand why kings go wrong. Power does not feel like power from the inside. It feels like responsibility. It feels like burden. It feels like you are the only person holding this all together, and therefore you deserve more than anyone else to be protected and compensated and listened to without question. The most dangerous lie you tell yourself now is that the people need you specifically, that if you fell, the ministry would fall,
That if the ministry fell, all the good it does would disappear. This lie gives you permission for almost everything. You are sitting in your office on a Tuesday afternoon when your bookkeeper, a quiet woman named Carol, comes in and closes the door. She sets a spreadsheet on your desk. She does not sit down. She tells you that over the past 3 years, approximately $380,000 has moved through accounts in ways she cannot fully reconcile. She is not accusing. She is informing. She says she needs guidance on how to classify these transactions for the audit. You look at the spreadsheet. You know exactly what those transactions are. You look up at her and you say, calmly, that you will review it and get back to her. She leaves. You sit alone for 20 minutes. Then you call Douglas. You do not confess to Douglas. You strategize. This is the final distance between who you were and who you are. That your first call is not to God, not to your wife, not to an attorney who can advise you honestly, but to the man who shares your interest in keeping the machine running. Douglas says what Douglas always says. He will handle it. You trust him the way you have always trusted him, which is not the way you trust a friend, but the way a person trusts a system they have become dependent upon. Carol is gone within a month. The audit comes back clean. You preach that Sunday to 2,200 people. They are crying. They are raising their hands. They love you. Some of them are sending you money they cannot spare. Some of them are sick and waiting for a miracle you implied was connected to their giving. Some of them are young ministers in the back row studying how you carry yourself because they want to be you. You stand at the pulpit and the lights are warm and the music swells and you open your mouth and the words come out. The good words, the true words, the ones that still live somewhere inside you from the nights you prayed alone in a cold apartment with nothing. This is the most frightening thing, that the gift is still there, that the words still land, that you can stand in the middle of everything you have done and still, somehow, make people feel that God is in the room. You do not know if that means you are still redeemable or if it means the gift operates independently of the man. Some nights that question sits on your chest until morning. The questions do not stop the Sunday service from happening next week. The next book deal is already signed. The third campus location breaks ground in April. Carol has been replaced by someone Douglas chose, someone who asks fewer questions. Your wife has started attending a different church on Sunday mornings. She has not said the word divorce yet, but you both know what her absence from your sanctuary means. You drive home alone after service. The ministry vehicle is clean and quiet. You pass a strip mall that looks like the one where it all started and you slow down without meaning to. You sit at the green light for a second too long and the car behind you honks. You press the gas. You keep moving. Because this is what you do now. You keep the machine moving. You keep the Sunday coming. You keep the offering growing. And somewhere underneath all of it, buried under the building and the broadcast and the board meetings and the brand, there is a 23-year-old holding a mop who believed every word he prayed. You have not heard from him in a long time, but he is still in there. And that, more than the audit or the settlement or your wife's empty seat, is the thing that keeps you up at night.